Hey everyone, and welcome to my podcast. I was just pausing before actually this meeting and I was thinking, you know what, this is probably the best time of the day. Going away from the work and just sitting with someone that I can have full, 30 minutes, 1 hour, wherever we go, whatever long conversation and we don't know what will happen the next, 30, 40 minutes. And I just love that. I love that because I have an opportunity to connect and, speaking with someone on other side of the world today. It's just such a privilege. And thank you so much, Caroline, for being here and yeah, just having this conversation with me and making my day a little bit better.
Thank you so much for the invite. I'm very much looking forward to your podcast. I've listened to a few of the episodes, so I get the vibe here. So I'm hoping to keep it going.
Yeah, thank you so much. And you have great energy. So I think, yeah, it's just your voice, it's calming me. And I love that because we are going to talk about voice today. And I
Yes,
felt
we
like
are.
I felt like from our conversation at the start, I was going to say like there was one sentence or one kind of tagline that popped up and it was that you're giving voice to voiceless. And I don't know why they just pop up and I was like, wow, but you said that, yeah, it's power of voice. So from leadership, perspective or from business owner perspective or
Mhm.
from, even when you are in school feeling that you want to express yourself, it's sometimes very hard and it's very hard to find a message and the right words and right language and right tone. And there's so much. And I would love to actually explore all of that and understanding, how we can voice ourselves, how we can express ourselves, how are you helping people and why is that important and all that around. But firstly, please tell us more about you and about your background and how did you actually end up doing this?
Yeah, so I'm gonna tell you more about myself using the idea of voice, right? First of all, I was born and raised partially in Jamaica. So I left when I was 10 years old. And a lot of that time was spent, we had one TV with like two channels.
Oh
And
yeah, that's
so,
like my childhood.
right, majority of the time was spent like around family and people kind of telling stories.
Yeah.
And it was like a sport, right? Who could be funnier? And of course you're talking about each other, but like in a joking. And so everybody was like joking. And I was always captivated by that. Like my uncles were the funniest out of everyone. I just did not talk and just really enjoyed that. And so moving to the United States and the way that I kind of ingratiated myself to the like different communities to understanding the culture was through again storytelling, whether that was through music, and movies, etc. Like it's the voice, right? It is the thing that's communicating values. It's communicating, hey, this is what is normal. This is what we value. It's all of that. I actually became and understood the American culture through voices, in different kind of art forms. And then I went to college and studied communications. Once again, this like through line of storytelling and really being obsessed. Like I loved movies. I loved all because it helped me to connect human to human. And I've also always loved podcasts. So even as I was building this really straight-laced corporate career and climbing the ladder in corporate America and like corporate relations, working in different industries, healthcare, higher ed at MIT, all the things, I also was still feeding this love on the side. And so I was helping as a freelancer, helping small businesses tell better stories. I was helping them crafting their brand messaging. I was helping them to design their, logos and branding materials and all the things. And I actually left my corporate job, or I should say my corporate job left me in 2021. Actually 2020. And then for a year, I was kind of just playing around with the idea of like, what if I actually went full time in this thing that I'd been doing on the side? And so eventually 2021, I did. I went full-time entrepreneurship, started my first marketing agency, grew
Perfect.
that to multi six figures, in all of the wrong ways.
Okay. I know that
All
one.
of them
Yeah.
up.
We all did it at the
Uh,
beginning, right?
right, exactly. And so got burnt out long story short, really almost died.
Wow.
Like people talk about success, but there's the other side of it. Like if you don't know how to manage that well, you will not only get burnt out. It's like I'm stressed. No, like I was literally killing myself. I went to the doctors and they were like, yeah, you have this, you're on borderline of this. Like you're gonna have to change some kind of lifestyle and reduce your stress and I had a decision to make. I could either end this dream that I had spent 10 years dreaming up of like, oh my God, if I can only own my own agency. And now I had to kill the dream in order to live a life.
Mm.
And so that was really difficult because also had to let go of my entire team. Um, but I spent 3 months after that doing some soul searching, not only for an internal piece of like, okay, what kind of business do I want to build? Not in like what service, but like what kind of business,
Yeah.
right? The business I built before was a specific kind of business. What do I actually want to build? And I realized I wanted a business that I could feel not only proud of, but I felt excited every single
Mm.
day to get up and do, right? Even the monotony of checking your numbers and like doing the things that, again, people don't talk about in entrepreneurship, like even that stuff excites you. I wanted that. I wanted something that like lit me up. And I also wanted something that wasn't a nice to have for business owners. And so I thought about all of those things, like even from my childhood, and like, do you see those, what I call God winks throughout your life of like, this is what you're meant to do. I am a natural storyteller. I love listening to other people's stories, which is why I love podcasts, right? And I had been doing podcasting and producing podcasts but I never not once thought like this was a business ever. And so when I landed on it, I was like, no one else is doing this. Wrong. Wrong. There are many other people doing this. And so I had to figure out like, okay, what do I want to offer that is not being offered? Okay, yeah, I can get you on podcasts. That's not really what I really cared about is helping people to tell the real story, which is why and we'll probably hit on some parts of it, this idea of a visibility PowerPoint, something I created, because too many people are starting to sound the same. And now with ChatGPT, everybody's starting to sound the same.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of helping someone to craft a message that is uniquely from their experiences, from their own, things that they've been able to help people transform, et cetera. Like, what is the thing that you can talk about for 10 hours without no issue? What is the thing that you now have a unique and a special perspective on? And that is like, that's the rub. And I love getting there with people. It lights me up, it lights them up. It's like the best part.
Yeah.
The podcast is just the vehicle, right? But
Yeah.
that exercise, I think that when it's freeing, and we'll get into like the power of the voice, the other piece is like it's liberating for not just them, but their business, because then you see revenue starts to follow because now you understand what you're actually trying to do with your business.
Mm, I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. And yeah, I'm definitely captivated. So I'm like, oh wow, like you were saying so many things that, came up in a business. Firstly, your burnout journey and how you were not like very well. So I'm always reflecting because I know so many business owners and so many of my clients as well, like went through, different stages, heart attack or, or losing relationships. And like all these different things because of that hard work and that identity shift where you are your business, where
Yeah.
where you are basically 7 days a week your business, and there
Mhm.
is almost like no other identity, and you bring this identity every day to your friendships, to your meetings,
Yep.
to your everything, and you like Harvey didn't realize that I was the same, like very similar, right? Like I didn't even realize that what I started to enjoy was only business conversation,
Oh my gosh.
right? It's
Listen,
like I
one
couldn't
of
believe
the big,
it.
one of the best things, like revelations that I got, and it was through tough love, but I needed it,
Yeah.
was my coach said, your business has no feelings. Carolee Moore has all the feelings. Carolee Moore can get sick. She can have downtime. She can get
Mm,
depressed. Your business is numbers, it's figures, it's inputs and outputs. Those two are not the same.
mm,
And when you're on your emotional roller coaster, your business can't join you.
yeah.
And so many entrepreneurs get caught up in that.
Mm,
We're so intertwined with our
yeah.
business, we
Emotionally.
can't tell one from the other
Yeah.
that whenever your emotions go a little cuckoo, which we're humans, it happens, your business is also kind of, and when you have a team, that's a problem,
Yes,
right?
that's the
And
problem.
unfortunately, yeah, we run into that. And what I think is crazy too, you recognize that it's not just the folks that are doing five figures and still haven't hit six that have that issue. It is multiple six and multiple seven that are they're still trying to learn that lesson of like, hey,
Mm,
you are not your business and you need to take care of yourself, find your emotional balance, etc. But you have to figure out a way to have your business continue to be consistent
mm,
and working in spite of whatever is happening in your life. And as someone who like lost my father, uh, I don't know, 6 months. Well, he got sick 6 months after I started my business, passed away 9 months after that. So in my first year of
so
business,
sorry. Yeah, that's
one of the
tough.
hardest thing ever in my entire life.
Yeah,
Right.
that's super
And
hard.
so super hard to be like, okay, I'm trying to build this business, but I'm also grieving. Like it all became like this. And then, I got married and then I'm not anymore. Like,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff started happening. And I had to, at some point, make that decision. I am not my business.
Mm,
I need therapy. I need my friends. I need all kinds of hobbies. I need all the things to make sure I'm good. My business needs cash and it needs
and the right
people
people.
to
Yeah.
run. Very different needs. It's not the same. And
Yeah.
we got to stop like treating ourselves like the business and to your point of like, touch grass, go outside, touch some grass, play with
Yeah.
your like, you know what I mean? Live a life. Because you'll have some other things to talk about outside of business.
Yeah, exactly. I know we forget it. Like, it's so many times we forget it. And I've been there, so I know how that felt. And when I actually hit a pause, I'm sure that you find yourself in a situations like, okay, I have a lot of time. What now? Like, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I like. I
I don't have any
didn't,
hobbies.
yeah, I didn't swim so long. I don't know, stand up paddle so long. I don't know what to do. Like, I don't even know if I will enjoy it anymore. And I think that's
Yeah.
crazy when we realize that all the fun that we had, all the, I don't know, sports, water sports, friends, meetings, lunches, dinners, family, we kind of lost it. And yeah, I
Yeah.
just believe, yeah, burnout is definitely big learning
Yep.
curve.
It will absolutely teach you.
Yeah.
Most entrepreneurs are not the people that like learn by getting like coddled. Like you should do. No, typically we learn by like running into the wall and you're like, oh, that
Yeah.
hurt. Let me
Yeah.
not do that again. Right. Because we're so headstrong. Like, no, this is my dream. I got it.
Yeah.
And I'm a pretty intense individual. I've just accepted that. But you get one of these lives. This is not a dress rehearsal. You don't come back, but all right, let me try that again. This is it. And I I'm figuring out how to be just as intense about my life, like in my health, as I am about building wealth and building my business, right? If I can be disciplined and if I can be kind of on it for my business, what does that look like for my life? And I'm still building that, but I definitely think being terrified and seeing your own mortality after already losing someone like in short order is like, oh, okay, yeah, wait.
Yeah.
This is real. This is not, I can't keep playing around. There's no
Yeah.
guarantee that I'll be here.
Yeah. You know what? That's great. And I just want to say that, you had that awareness and you actually realized that you need to stop or you need to pause or you need to change something, right? So many people hit the point, and they have health issues and really bad life and they don't hit the pause or they don't hit the stop, and recalibrate, change and focus on different things, and understanding that I need to do something because my body is just one body I have for this life. So I
Mhm.
really need to, take care of it. I have one brain, I need to take care of it.
Yeah.
And I think we don't understand how, oh my God, I just had a conversation about this yesterday. I said it's so amazing when we think about that. Like I'm 47, like, I'm getting into that half, like you're like, wow, okay, so it's like it's a lot less, ahead. But I was thinking how amazing it is for people. They can live, 70, 80, 90 years old. Imagine how much, knowledge, experience, and how
Yeah.
your life change, how much you can gain and you can understand life. And I said, I want to be okay, in my 80s, 90s. I want to have my brain to function because I want to be sure that I can use that all. And I think we, forget to look at that. But I love how aware and
Yeah.
conscious you were, and you.
I think that that's important too. And I'll say this. Okay. We're ceding a lot to AI at the moment because it's like the new kid on the
Yeah,
block. But for me, it's really concerning. And I'll give my example as to why. And I actually use my industry specifically for podcast guesting and why this is getting a little interesting.
yeah,
When you think about how good people had to be before in mathematics, before the calculator became like the
yeah,
calculator,
yeah,
right? When it when it just was basic math and everything else you had to kind of just
yeah,
work on a piece of paper, right? Our brains had to get to a certain place to be able to do that. And most everyone had that skill because you had to kind of pass high school math to do that. And then you got the calculator and we started kind of getting seating more to that calculator. We didn't have to do all of the
yeah,
extended mathematics. Now that calculator did. Now you have kids who don't even know how to use a calculator because they've been using even more advanced tools to where now like basic,
yeah,
long division is a problem for some of
mm,
these kids. What you're seeing the same way when we come to something like being on podcasts or even just kind of running your business as an entrepreneur, we are seeding our creativity, our ideas, the things that are so uniquely human. We are attempting
mm,
to empower a robot to do the thing that we were gifted solely by, in my belief, by God to do. And that's a dangerous path that I see us going on. And I do think that the people who are smart enough to utilize and leverage AI, but not completely give over, like, here you go, think for me.
yeah,
Here you go, get
oh
creative
yeah,
for me. What are your thoughts on this? Like,
mm,
what are your ideas on this? The folks that are able to still kind of work that part of their brain, and I love that you kind of tapped on that, where it's like feed your brain, like just like how you would work out your body, you have to also work out your
mm,
brain.
yeah,
When we're thinking about brand messaging, when we're thinking about, okay, what do I say? So many people are like going on, okay, ChatGPT, what should I say if I go on this podcast? And be like,
yeah,
and
think for
it's
me,
like,
yeah, yeah,
yes, think for me. And what we are doing in those moments, we are ceding power to something that is supposed to be assisting us.
yeah. And yeah, and I think that is a massive thing when you think about also losing the voice, right? When we talk about voice, because your
Exactly.
voice, what ChatGPT gives you is what it gave already another million people. So it is so similar. The message, the posts, when you see them, they're just similar. Like actually it makes us all look same. That's why I think a lot of people giving up on social media now, they don't even read it anymore.
Yeah,
Why they would, right? Like you don't come anymore on social media
exactly.
and it's just your digital twin basically.
And now you're seeing more people like gravitate toward video. And it's talking head videos because now we can tell for now. the
Oh no.
difference between an AI video and like a real person.
Yeah.
And there is even, or I guess especially for the imperfections, we're like, ooh, okay, she's human. I can talk.
Yeah.
I'm gonna listen now, right? You kind of like spend a little bit more time when you're scrolling. You're seeing, okay,
Yeah.
oh, there's a real person. Let me stop. And like, what did she have? What
Yeah.
she say?
Because we
And you
want,
go ahead.
yeah, I was thinking about that. Like we actually connect with people when we see that imperfection because it makes us human, right? That same like
Hey,
vulnerability. When you look at how we emotionally connect, we connect when somebody is open and vulnerable. So I think
exactly.
it's the same, right? That imperfection makes us, oh wow, okay, this person is normal. I can actually talk to this person. Is no one on
Yeah.
pedestal, right? Like it's no one that I can
Yeah.
touch and it's perfect. Yeah.
And you're seeing that too, because again, when you think about algorithms, the way that they work is it's based off of things that are quote unquote standard.
Mm. Yeah.
And whenever in history has anything that is standard been the best?
Yeah. No. Couldn't
Whenever
be
in
any
history has
way.
something that is standard break the mold and like, oh my
No.
God, that's really innovative. No. And so what all this is going to do, and I want anyone who is listening right now who is like scared of putting themselves out there, starting either starting their podcast or just starting on video in podcast guesting, etc. Remember that within the next 2 to 3 years, which is going to be the height of AI until like the bubble burst, just like the dot-com
Yeah.
era did, right? You're going to see a proliferation of a lot of mediocre content. It's going to be a lot of content, but it's going to be mediocre. The
Yeah.
only way that you're going to be able to cut through is if you're willing to, one, say the uncomfortable part out loud, which is what I talked about the PowerPoint earlier. When you're coming on a podcast, instead of just agreeing with like the status quo, I could have come on here and be like, AI is amazing. You should use it to write your pitches. By the way, don't do that. You should do all the things like because that's what is now the thing, right? You're trying to kind of be on the bandwagon
Yeah.
instead of saying, hey, it is actually good in its place. That is my like that is
I
a
love
unique perspective, and then I can back it up with
it.
things that I either know anecdotally or have seen for real. When you're able to showcase, hey, I have an opinion and it's not something that was regurgitated from like my chat
Exactly.
GPT or
Yeah.
wherever, you're going to see that your content, wherever you put it, is going to start getting some traction, especially if you are geared toward a specific
Mm.
person or industry or
Yeah.
category, etc. If you're speaking directly to them,
Yeah.
right?
That's that's why I think podcasting will be probably the
Yes.
way to go because we see each other. We had to put a time in the calendar. We actually talk together, and we don't know where the conversation will go. It's not polished.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, and we go with the flow. And I think that will be missing a lot because it will be so structured and it will send structure everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah,
I was saying this earlier. I feel like 2026 is going to be the year of the podcast. I
yeah,
really do. I
yeah.
really, really do.
It's exciting. No, I'm
It
super
is.
excited. And I have like we talked about that before. Like it's so beautiful to meet people and create relationships. And you stay in touch, you have conversations and you realize that you really like people on your podcast. So so you
Yeah.
need to be sure that
Yes, you
you
build a
reach out.
relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, going back to your amazing skill, I just want to be sure that we don't go away from that because I think it's very important. So I have a question. Firstly, why do you think having voice is important?
Mhm. So beyond, if you think about like the history of human beings, how we shared our history, the first thing was not calligraphy, it wasn't writing on paper, it was the voice. We shared and passed down our stories using our voices. It is the most powerful and unique thing about human beings is the fact that we can move our mouths and our tongues and our lips a certain kind of way and it makes a noise that then you also under like that is amazing. And to be able to communicate that way is really special. And no matter what we create, you realize whether it's a written language or any kind of
Yeah.
graphics, etc., it always comes back to the voice. Like
Yeah.
it's the most powerful tool in your toolbox. And so when you're able to feel a deeper connection to that voice and free it, it's something special happens. And I will tell you this, I grew up as like a really rambunctious little kid in Jamaica. I had a lot of friends. I was a teacher's pet. And I just was very outspoken and vocal because my dad never told us to like be quiet. It was always like,
Good. That's
you have an
good.
opinion, like, and you'll ask more questions of like, and for us to give more of our thoughts. A very unorthodox upbringing, to be honest. Then I moved to the United States and I was mercilessly bullied. And so that really
I'm so sorry.
outspoken, rambunctious little kid turned into a very quiet, very seemingly shy individual for like the next 20 something years.
Mm, wow.
Okay. I was pushed into um, feeling like I was an introvert because I was terrified of just speaking. One, because I was an immigrant and I was getting bullied for it at first and saying words different or weird.
Mm.
So I would like, that's another reason why I watched so many movies and TV and all the things, because I wanted to sound more American. Um, I guess mission accomplished, even though now I wish I had more of a Jamaican accent. But like for me, it, I was able to understand the power of the voice when I left corporate America and for the first time had to speak for myself, not representing a business that
Yeah.
wasn't my own, not being in a meeting where I had to watch out for politics and people's
Yeah.
perceptions of what my words or even my tone meant. I had now full, not only power, but a responsibility of like, okay, what do you want to say? And how do you want to say it? Who is Carol Lee without all of the stuff?
Mm.
And what was even scarier is, social media has been around for a while. So people who knew me as a kid, as a shy kid who never spoke, they were now going to be introduced to like Carol Lee, who is not shy, who is not scared of saying things like bluntly and loudly and all the things. And I
Mm.
was terrified of them having to contend with the perception of who I am to who I actually am, like those two colliding and what that would look like and feel like. And if anyone is now listening to this and you can relate because you crafted an identity to protect yourself, and at some point you had to work to dismantle the thing that was created to protect you, and now you're feeling extremely vulnerable and unsafe. I want to challenge you to change your perspective and see it more like a phoenix, where you have to burn
Mm.
your old self. You have to literally kill all of the limiting beliefs, all of the, well, I can't say that because if I said that, then they're going to, you have to literally have all of that die in order for this new version of yourself,
Yeah.
frankly, the version that had already been there, right? That's been deep down.
Yeah.
You've always wanted to say those things. You've always had something to say. And now there's no one stopping you from saying it, right? That journey for me, I now see it as freedom. Like I'm, I can't tell you how many different people who from my childhood and high school and even some college who are seeing what I'm
Yeah.
building online and they're in my inbox. I'm so proud of you. I love what you're doing. Like go, like you, it's so much not, it's like, well, not what I expected. It's not what I expected, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's so powerful. It was a super long answer, but like it is very powerful when we think about how we use our voice and how much in history just the person who just dared to say the quiet part out loud freed hundreds, thousands, millions of other people just because they decided to speak. That is how powerful our voices are,
Mm.
right? And you don't have to be quote unquote special. None of that. You
Yeah.
have something to say. Like something is inside of you that needs to be out. And that's why podcasting is so powerful because you get to do that in a way that still feels intimate.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's authentic, absolutely. And I love what you say. So, with my question, why to have a voice is so important. I love there was one word that basically just outlined everything was like freedom, right? It feels like
Yes.
freedom, and I
Yes.
love that because it's almost like when you don't say too many things, it becomes like it's almost like a ball in your throat, right? Like it feels anxious and
Yep.
I love what you were saying because I'm immigrant basically in Australia, right? So for me, I was immigrant in so many different countries, and I was always comparing. And actually, like I love where I'm now, but I was living in a different state, and I really didn't feel like I belong and I can belong ever. And
Mhm.
it was same thing, right? Like stop speaking up, stop saying things because people have totally different opinions, totally different values. They will
Mhm.
never agree, of course, because like I was so different. And
Mhm.
I love when you were mentioning, how we actually going through life and we adapt. We think that we need to fit in by being different person. And I
Mhm.
think that's the biggest mistake we can ever make. And I was making that, or doing that all the time. And I see so many people, you come to Australia or US, and like you said, try to have different accent. But no, your accent is amazing when it's your accent, right? Like that's what is making you you, and that's what makes you unique. And we forget about that so many times. It's funny because my husband sometimes says like, "Oh, please don't lose your accent ever." And I said, "Oh, I wish to lose my accent." And it's the same thing, right? Like it's actually it's us. And I love when you're pointing that out as a voice because it is all the things, right? It's how we change how we are when we don't speak up, how we actually change emotionally, energetically, and it's so
Yeah.
much more, right? When we can say the message we want, or if we can't convey it, I think is the word, the way that will be understood. And I think that's the hardest part, right?
Yes. Yes.
And
We
that's my
overthink
question.
things too.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's my question because I think, the words sometimes don't matter, right? Like what matters is how you say things. And
Yeah.
and I feel like I say the same thing and people don't hear the message, then someone else repeats my message and they hear it. So what's that? I want to know your professional opinion because that drove me like crazy for like 10 years.
Well, so I have two different thoughts about that, right? It could be one, the message was not clear enough, hard truth. But the second one could be that sometimes, and this is what I had to kind of see,
Yeah.
Alex Hormozy, who is probably one of the most famous marketers on the planet, or Russell Brunson, or like name any of the huge guys. They will say like water's wet. And they're like, oh my gosh, water's wet. Oh my God. And it's this huge, it's like, dude, do we not all know that water's wet? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
What I've come to realize is they've earned the right from in these people's minds to
Mm,
say something that generic, simple, and it be life changing
yeah.
because they've built up trust.
Mm,
They've built up a certain level of cachet, if you will, right? Their brand is big enough to where they can say the exact same thing that you're saying. And because they're them, because they've built up that brand, it's going to hit the person's ear differently.
yeah.
So it could be one of the two, where it's like the person that is listening is more, they either trust the other person more and or the message is clearer
Yeah.
and
Okay.
straightforward.
Love it.
And and for that first one, I'm going to be super honest, especially, and it's not an immigrant thing. I noticed it for myself because of my always wanting to be understood and always feeling misunderstood. And that comes from my experience as an immigrant. But I've also, in coaching so many of our clients to get on to do well on podcasts, I've noticed that people tend to use extra words instead of the all the time. Now, I've also noticed that people use real words as they're trying to really say what they want to say. They're coming around the bend. They're using all these extra words and
Yeah.
eventually get to the point. But like they took the scenic route. And a lot of us speak that way.
Mm.
What I want you to like mini homework after listening to this episode, go and listen to Tony Robbins and his speaking. Go and listen to Oprah Winfrey, any of those like really talented orators that like they get paid to speak for the most part. You will notice that they don't really use words that don't need to be used, meaning they get to the like straight to the point at all times. And
Mm.
it's still, they don't go around the bend. And typically they might drop, a few like 12th grade words in there, but typically, especially Tony Robbins, he's speaking at like a fifth grade, sixth grade level so that everyone can understand him. It's a
Mm.
very basic language for what could potentially be a very complex idea. He breaks it down to where anyone who's listening to him can really
Simplicity.
understand.
Mm.
So think about the simplicity of it and also just kind of going straight to like, what is it that you're wanting to say? We are so used to like going around, especially if you're like have an advanced degree because you've done research papers and you're trying to fill like, okay, she said 25 pages. So now I gotta write
Yeah.
all these extra words to make it like to
Yeah.
25 pages. It's like, this is the complete opposite. How can you get to the exact same thing or exact sentiment that you're trying to
Yeah.
express without using all these extra words? How can you get to a place where you're speaking in sound bites? And
Yeah.
it's harder for someone who maybe the language is your second language. It's harder for someone, even for me, where, Jamaica is not really, it's not like a completely different language, but it is. So like even in speaking, I'm trying to like, do you get what I'm saying? You understand? Like I'm always wanting that extra instead of just like saying it. And I do think that's what makes for a really powerful and great orator. And no matter whether you're standing in front of thousands of people giving a keynote or you're sitting on a podcast speaking to one person, you have to kind of keep that in mind as you're speaking. It's like, okay, how can I make this as easy and simple as possible so that anyone can understand me and it's impactful
Yeah, I love that. So simplicity and to the point. Do you
to the
have,
point?
okay, so let's say I'm talking to someone.
Mhm.
What do I do at the beginning? Let's say I want to really voice something. So what should I look for? Maybe how should I prepare myself? How should I set up myself? Or how I say if I'm not even preparing myself, how do I say express myself the way that maybe I don't know if you have structure for that. The way that people understand because I have some kind of structure because I know how to express my message. Is there some kind of like a tools or secrets?
Yeah. So, okay, I'm because we're on a podcast and obviously my business is podcast guesting, I'm going to keep it this frame. With our clients, we actually teach them a framework for answering questions. And the framework is three parts. The first part is, say, for instance, you ask me, like, what are some of the mistakes that you see podcast guests make when they could get on a podcast, right? I could easily just go straight and I answer that question straight and we're done.
Mm,
No, 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 no. What you want to do is in the framework of, thank you for that question. Honestly, what I've seen people do is, I actually had a client. So you're giving the three, you're answering the
sorry.
question,
Yeah.
you're answering the question, and then you're giving specificity, right? But it's clear and it's fast. So it's not a 10-minute story. You're saying, no, I've seen people be too long-winded. I've seen people be a little too boring. I've seen whatever. And be like, and one of our clients, Ryan, he came on and I go through this practice round with him. And when he came to us, he had like a 10-minute intro and blah, blah. And what we did, we worked on this framework. And by the time we were done, he not only got placed on a top 1% podcast, but he was able to get 500 leads from that because he was able to be clear and concise, et cetera, blah, blah. I am giving you in the one answer, the answer to your question, but I'm also showcasing what I do.
Yeah, I love
And
it. Yeah.
I'm allowing the person who's listening to say, hey, that's me. I do have a problem with like going off, on a tangent and not
Yeah.
really being clear about like what, I do have a tendency of forgetting what I'm saying in the middle of what I'm saying because it's been like 10
We
minutes.
all do.
You know what I mean? Like, which we've all been there, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But like then they can really see themselves. And so by the time you're done with the interview or the conversation, the person's like, you're really interesting. I'd love to continue this conversation. In a podcast setting, the ideal would be someone who's listening who's like, I would
Yeah.
really love your help with this thing that I'm struggling with. Because now I can see myself in one of, the examples that you gave, because it was specific.
Yeah. And
Um,
stories. Yeah. Stories are relatable, right? You
worried,
can relate.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it goes back to like, I don't know, we overcomplicate a lot of these things, right? Think about like cavemen and women, or even like before there were any real TV or radio or whatever.
Mm.
This is how we communicate. This is how we entertained, ourselves. This is our voice and how we interact with our voices. It's like the most basic and therefore the most powerful in human experience. And so therefore, when you can master that, doesn't matter. Like everything else, I'm gonna be honest. If you have a really amazing video on Instagram, YouTube, wherever, and the copy is like not great in the caption, it doesn't really impact
Yeah.
how well the video does, right? But the
Yeah.
other way is very true. Right? If you have
Yeah.
a terrible video, but the copy is great, like you're probably not gonna like who's gonna sit there and read that if the video is already like not great. So that's the power of like making sure that your voice, and one of the things that I've also been doing, and this is a huge thing for how podcast guesting, especially, and even as a podcaster yourself, remembering as you're speaking, okay, I want to eventually use some of this material for social media. So as I'm answering these questions, I'm not wanting to just like go off into like
Yeah.
random things, cut myself off in the middle of my sentences where it's like, okay, you had something that you were saying and now you're over there. Because you want to use it for content after. So being kind of mindful of that as well. Whatever room you're in, whatever conversation you find yourself in, there should be purpose in it. And if you know what the purpose is, then you've already kind of planned, okay, this is how I want to be seen. This is the impact I want to leave from that room. Um, the way that I built my first business, and I actually didn't say this before, was all networking. I hate social media, like with a fire of 1,000. I don't like it. But I know I need to do it. I see it as a business move. I don't. If I could leave it tomorrow, I would, right? And so I
Yeah.
was very, very aware of that, and I wanted a different way to build my business. And I knew that I liked building connections, and so that's what I did. I went to almost every networking event and networking meeting you can imagine in my town. I traveled to different towns and did it. And what I didn't know at the time, it was great practice for what I'm doing now all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I love it. I love
So
it. And yeah, that's learning. Definitely there is a lot of learning from networking, and it
yes,
is, yeah, we are also looking at, how actually networking conversations goes. When you look at, what is the communication style, where that is going, and that's same with social media, right? It's very transactional. It's very
yes,
spammy. It's almost the networking even is
yes,
spammy, right? Because everybody comes with business card, and I
yeah.
I stopped doing it like last 4 years. Probably you wouldn't find me anywhere. Sometimes say yes to like one invitation, and then I'm like, oh, why I did it again? It's just the same, and
It. is
Yeah. Yeah.
craving. It is, but the reps that you get in that, and to be able to, I treated it like a game.
Yeah.
And I think you can do the same for podcast guesting with your messaging. It's like, okay, I don't know what messaging works for my audience just yet. Let me go and I'm gonna introduce myself this way. And then to that person, all right, I'm gonna tweak this here. And I was just having fun with it because
Yeah. That's
I'm an introvert, like true and true. And I am now an omnivore. I can switch it off and on, but what I would really want to do is like be sitting at home reading my book, right? Like that's
yeah.
my spirit animal. So like at a networking event, I am on a mission. It's the same, and I think that is what's different in how I approach
Yeah.
even this activity is realizing nothing that I do is just for the sake of doing it. If I'm coming on a podcast, it's because we've vetted it and we've pitched, say, okay, I think this is a great fit for me. Either the audience or the host is really awesome. I like the way that she, really gets into her conversations with her guests. I think we'd have a really great time. Okay, let's pitch her. Okay, great. If I go on this podcast and I like this person, what could come from us actually being connected? What are some of the ways that we can, serve each other? What are some of the people that she might want to get introduced to that I have in my network and vice versa? Like, this is the stuff that I think people are not thinking about when they think about
I love
podcast
it.
guests.
I love it.
They're
Uh, I,
just like sitting around for 20, 30 minutes having
yeah.
conversation. That's not.
I love it honestly because okay, I will be super honest. I love it because this is our conversation with a few friends last few months. It's like why people when they see you, when they talk to you, why then already have in a mind like, oh, I need to introduce this person, or I need to connect. Oh my gosh, I know I need to do this, that will be great match, personality, values alignment, whatever it is, right? And we think that way. And I'm not saying it's amazing, but I think it's awesome. It feels awesome, right? Like it
Mhm.
feels awesome for me and for you. I was already thinking because we are in LA Tribune, right? Like I was like, oh, I need to connect you with the community. There's so many podcasts there,
All
podcasters.
right.
So many of my friends are podcasters, and because you become friends with a lot of people. Some guests on my podcast, they have their own podcast, so there's so
Yeah.
much, right? There's so much value in that network, and it's not everyone, of course, becomes friend or comes back to you, but I love that people like yourself, like they actually come back to people, they talk to people, and people forgot. And this is probably a major thing. I think that's why people may be shutting down and don't communicate. And sometimes people even say, I don't want to be bothered, even, say something because it's the culture that is kind of moving and is like fast, super busy. And it almost
Mhm.
feels like people forgot, and this is not blame on anyone, but like people forgot to care. And I think
Yeah.
because we don't pause and you had a chance to pause, I had a chance to pause and reflect. And I realized that I don't want to live life like that. I don't want to be disconnected. I
We've
just,
become extremely self-centered. And there is not a it's not a problem with like making sure that you're good. I do believe in, especially if as an entrepreneur, if you're full-time and you don't have another thing, you have to make sure that you're securely buckled in and like you're good, right? Before you start looking around like, okay, how can I help you?
Hmm.
I get that. However, for me, I am a servant. That's why I'm in a service business. That's just like my heart. And I recognize as well the law of reciprocity. I am always going to give because it's going to always come back to me. I am not concerned about like, well, I gave her this and I did and I didn't get. And for whatever reason, I feel like that we've become this kind of transactional culture
Yeah,
across, around the world, unfortunately.
yeah,
I think also in some places, but like in my culture, Jamaican culture, it is very communal.
yeah,
It's like to this day, my dad is like dead and gone. I can go back to my community and they will know me. They don't know my name, but they're like,
yeah,
oh, that's Donnie's daughter.
yeah. I
Right?
love
Because
that.
like it is that is, and it doesn't matter how old I get, they remember my face.
Yeah,
And because I am Donnie's daughter, I'll get invited to dinner. I will, oh, you take that, you're fine at the shop. Like these are people that my father grew up with, in
Yeah.
community with. And like, oh, you don't have this. Oh, here, take that. And then they're doing it kind of back
The
and forth.
help. Yeah.
Right. And so like we've lost some of that sauce. And I do think environments like these where we're able to connect with people from across, the globe, it's really powerful and
Mm.
it's so needed. And I will go to the ends of the earth and fight for
Yeah.
the purity of podcasting because I know it's about to be a mess. Oh my gosh, it's
I
coming.
love it.
Marketers ruin everything. I promise you. It's
I love
coming.
it. I love
But like I will be one of the like champions of like, do not ruin this.
Yeah,
Just don't
just
ruin
be a
it.
mess. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
like over there. Like
Yeah, but I love it. Honestly, I love it, Carolee. And I think we all have something to learn from you. And, even though I'm doing, podcasts a few years, I have so many things to learn. And I love when you're talking about, conveying the message and be clear and understanding how we talk, in a little bit of structure that you share. And I'm so grateful for that. I think it's very important. And, saying too many words and going around, understanding that sometimes just say very straightforward, one sentence is enough and pause. And that can be the
yes.
message, right? And yeah, I'm definitely the one that talks too much. So I know that. I'm definitely reflecting and I love what you say because it's helping me as well to calm down and really focus on how, I do this. And I love podcasting, you love podcasting, and you're helping people with podcasting, and I'll probably say before we jump off, thank you so much for that as well. I learned so much about, the culture, your background, and I love to hear that because it reminds me home as well. Like it's great how we were growing up, and I can say I'm lucky because Queensland is probably the best state I ever lived, and I lived in a few different countries in the world. And it is exactly that. It feels like I came home. It just, all my neighbors, like in first year, are all my friends. We
Oh
are
wow.
baking for each other, visiting each other, we helping each other, and that's crazy. And yeah,
Yeah.
and we are going on each other's weddings, and I don't even understand it because I felt so new, and we didn't even speak properly, but we were already, like invited to things, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I am
Love
really
it.
lucky where I'm now, and I want to say to everyone, it's so important to make people feel good. Just see them. Just see
Yeah.
people around you because that's super important. And before we go, can you share something like how people can work with you? What is the major thing actually? Like I know there's a lot of
Sure.
things that you do. Like I know it's a
So I'm going to give people two ways to work with me.
yeah.
First, I'm going to start with the DIYers. If you are if you're a DIYer, we are launching, and by the time this podcast is live, it will already be launched. We're launching our first do-it-yourself podcast prep kit. It is an entire system that we use to get me and our clients on podcasts. And how do you know it works? I use that exact same kit to get on this show. So you're actually getting something that you know works because you're hearing me talk about it on the show that we use the same pitch
Awesome.
to get on. And of course, and so that's the first one. The second one is if you're not a DIY person, if you're like, listen, I want to do this, I want to understand how podcast guesting can work for me, but I just don't have the time to do it myself and I want help. I would love to sit with you and do a free complimentary 30-minute strategy session with me where we kind of walk through what you're already doing, what's working for you, and then go into, okay, this is how I think understanding your business, understanding who you're targeting, et cetera. This is how I think podcast guesting could actually work for you in 2026. I'm offering that for everyone. At this point, we have 5 of those slots each month. So
Amazing.
good luck. So those are the two options that we have. But if you just kind of want to listen to hear me ramble online, I'm mostly on LinkedIn. That's like my
Perfect.
favorite social media channel. That's it.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Carolee. Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
sharing everything, what you shared, your knowledge, your skills, your experience, and your background, and your beautiful, warm energy and fun and excitement. I can definitely feel it because
Yeah.
it is when we get excited and passionate about things. And And I love that because I think it's so important to express yourself how you are, how authentic you are, and what is the source of you, right? And I love that we talk about that a little bit because I think it's very important in leadership, especially when you have now all the leaders talking about authentic leadership. Just being you and not try to pretend because people can read that you have a mask on. People can read that, you just learned something from ChatGPT. People know
Mhm.
you. People know when it's fake. And I don't believe in, fake it till you make it and all this
I
stuff.
don't either.
And I think it's so important to just be you. And, because I think you cut everything else and you actually faster arrive somewhere where you want. Because when you pretend, you have people confused and they don't know how to
Mhm.
connect with you, how to be with you. And I just love that because that's in leadership such a great topic, the communication and how we show up. Super
Mhm.
important. So I think that's another space, not only podcasting. I'm sure that you can help people to find themselves,
Yes.
in that communication and language and voice. So thank you so much, Caroline. Have a beautiful
You
afternoon, and I hope to see you again.
awesome. We will for sure.
Bye.